Hey, what's going on there, folks? Welcome back here to a Sunday night. It is about 10 o'clock here, California time. July 7th, 2024 is the date. Latest activity shows a 3.3 earthquake here into the Mediterranean region. Got a little bit of swarming going on down here in the Baja California area, specifically right around the Progreso area. Baja California, also noticing some uptick here across Southern California as well. For this swarm, we got about 7 earthquakes or so in this area. It is off the plate boundary. Some other faults that sit out here, not mentioned on the map, but they are. And it does look like there's a little bit of increasing activity here in Southern California, along with this current activity south here. 2.3 coming in just off the coast of Los Angeles here. Looks like that might be on the Coronado Bank Fault. A couple different oceanic faults out here. San Diego Trough sits a little bit further south, but yeah, a little bit of activity stirring up, as you can see here on the map. I don't think we've seen anything of large size. Let me see here. I thought that we seen, I'm pretty certain that there was a different earthquake down here, right? If I remember right, there was a 4-pointer. Let me see here. Let me check out the EMSC map here. EMSC. There we go. Maybe not. Just looks like a cluster of 3s there. The EMSC model showing a little bit more in terms of the multitude of quakes here in this area. So continue to keep an eye there on Southern California. Definitely got a few things shaking out there. Also along the plate boundary up north here along the creeping segment of the San Andreas Fault. Seeing some earthquake activity as well. Notice this little sequence of earthquake activity stretching very close here to the southern end of the San Andreas Fault. Couple smaller microquakes from this morning, and today the latest appear to be these two up north here. Again, very close to the plate boundary here, the San Andreas Fault. It's on the Brawley seismic zone. So overall seismic activity out here on the increasing side here across California, Southern California specifically. Coalinga area, seen a handful of smaller quakes there from this morning, couple 2s. Northern California, up north here, got an earthquake off the northern section of the San Andreas Fault, 2.1. The earthquake coming in looks like earlier this afternoon. Nothing showing up here as far as the Cascadia goes, but let's just double check with the tremor map here. See what we got for tremors starting to pick back up here on the southern end. A little bit underneath the area of Oregon. This is not at the surface levels, but down there at about 45 kilometers into the subduction zone. And definitely got some tremor going on here with 291 epicenters associated with the Cascadia subduction zone. It's just been an interesting month with elevated tremor. Really haven't seen any pause at all in the amount of tremors going on. As always with this tremor activity, that's obviously a sign of increasing strain out here. These are, kind of a slow slip type of event. Not an earthquake. An earthquake is going to be a sudden release of pressure. This here is more or less like a slow vibrational frequency between the two plates here as they're slowly subducting, and that activity is down there. And of course, at the same time, we get further strain building up out here for the next big Cascadia quake one day. Hopefully not too soon, but we need to be prepared for it. Let's see. That was an earthquake this morning there in the Nebraska area. Nothing showing up here on Yellowstone. And really not seeing any earthquake activity whatsoever. I believe this is going to be... let's see here. That was earlier this afternoon. Which earthquake was that? Kind of looks like a bigger one, so may have been, could have been this 5.5. This 6-pointer that struck this morning, yeah, you know what? That's exactly what it is. That was this afternoon. I keep saying this morning, but that was this afternoon. 6.2 deep earthquake showing up there on the seismograph stations there in Yellowstone, I believe. But yeah, anyway, distant earthquake activity showing up here. Not a whole lot of localized earthquake activity. A couple small spikes here early this morning, maybe a few more throughout the day, but really not a whole lot of earthquake activity localized there in the Yellowstone area. Farther out and about, as you can see, very minimal conditions. Still waiting on some surface adjustment for these two earthquakes that we've seen throughout the day today. Both of these fairly deep. Of course, that 6.2, the deepest one, almost 600 kilometers here into the Izu Trench. So keep an eye upstream. Just haven't really seen any movement yet in that area following that deeper activity. I'm sure we will, though. Trail of earthquakes here across the Java Trench. New Zealand pretty quiet down there for now. Rest of the globe out here looks like any other day. Let's check out Hawaii, see what's going on out here on the Big Island. Of course, they did have that 4-pointer yesterday down here, 4.1, about 7 kilometers deep, along with a little other swarm going on here. Some of the activity is fairly deep, but notice that movement, that migration of quakes here over towards the East Rift Zone. That's, obviously we got something going on here, right? Potential for an eruption or maybe a magma intrusion event out here to the East Rift Zone. Just got to keep an eye on it right now. We really have, we don't have the magic crystal ball to know what is ahead, but I'm sure it involves some type of eruption out there at the Kilauea Volcano. Let's see what is going on here for the deformation data. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's about the time that earthquake struck last night. It did made a neat little mark here on the vertical displacement. You can see it quite nicely, and that's upwards. So something going on down below the in the hotspot area underneath the Big Island of Hawaii. Interesting little spike. Either way, we're still going up in terms of inflation. Just a matter of time now before we, like I say, something's got to happen. Getting a lot of pressurization going on underneath this area. This update was put out this morning. The volcano is currently not erupting, and just looks like some aftershock activity there on the south flank of Kilauea Volcano. And yeah, magma has been repressurizing the storage system beneath the crater and the South Caldera region. Matter of time. All right, let's get into space weather real quick, see what's going on. Looks like we got had a little M flare earlier, long duration M flare event on the far eastern side of the sun. There it is. Since then, we got a little bit of C flare activity, it looks like. And this region over here, let's see, finally got a little view of it, it looks like. Remember those two sunspots that were growing the last time they were out here on the Earth-facing side? Well, they did a full trip around the far side of the sun, and they're coming back into view here. Not really impressed with it, but it did produce a long-duration M flare, like I said earlier this afternoon. So we'll see the magnetic complexity maybe tomorrow. Right now, it's still a little hard to tell at that angle. We do have the sunspot here. Keeping an eye on as well. It's growing. Aside from that, generally minimal conditions out there for the rest of the sunspots. Overall threat shows a 5% chance for X flare, M flare at 40% chance, and C flare around 99% chance. No major wars in the forecast, and looks like the moon phase there is at 7%. Very sliver, a nice little sliver in the sky if you can spot it. All right, let's go over here to Tropical Storm Beryl. I don't believe it's still Tropical Storm here. put this into motion. Area of circulation still right about here. I'm sure there's going to be some storm surge and whatnot from that, but it does look like, they're still forecasting it to be a hurricane upon landfall. The H right there, but right now 70 mile per hour sustained winds. It's got a few more miles per hour to go before it reaches hurricane status. I don't know if it's going to, but there's your hurricane watches, or hurricane warning, in effect here in the red, and tropical storm watch in the blue. Let's go over here to the radar map, see what we got. Yeah, you can see the eye wall right about here. Looks like quite a bit of rain falling out here already around the Lake Jackson area. It does look like it's going to be right about here for the landfall as far as the direct circulation. Of course, the outer bands of rain and whatnot can bring a lot of issues as well. But like I say, I don't know if it's going to hit into the as far as a hurricane status goes. It may just stay as a tropical storm because it's awfully close to land. And once they get close to land like that, they tend to weaken drastically. But we'll definitely watch it. Just out here last month, enjoying a little bit of R&R time out here. Beautiful warm Gulf waters. All right, let's see what else we got. Anything else going on as far as any major activity? I guess there's a little risk for some severe weather here associated with Tropical Storm Beryl. Not a big deal. Maybe some water spouts out there. Maybe tornado activity. It looks like 5% chance here. Wind and not a whole lot of hail. Just maybe some spin-ups there with the Tropical Storm Beryl. That's current day 1 outlook. All right, folks, I am out of here. It was another hot day. I tell you, it's tiring. It's very draining to have consecutive days of, 110 or hotter. And I don't want to go outside. But then you stay inside all day and it's like, it's weird. I'd rather have it nice and cool, but hey, it's summertime, right? And I live out here in the Sacramento Valley, and it's pretty much like a Death Valley out here. It gets super duper hot. Seismograph station's a little earthquake there on the Hot Caves Hawaii station, but aside from that, everything looks pretty quiet out here. Tomorrow, Monday, and not much of the weekend left to enjoy, right? But either way, hope everyone has a good night. We will catch you guys back out here early in the morning, unless something changes overnight as far as any major activity goes. We'll jump on and cover that. Have yourself a good evening, folks. See you guys back here tomorrow morning.